Hello and welcome to History on the Hoof. Today we're going to take a look at the remains of Bardon Tower in Wharfedale, a fortified medieval house on the edge of the Bolton Abbey estate with its priory ruins and the riverside village of Burnsall. Spectacularly placed on a promontory above the banks of the river, the ruins we can see today were built around the end of the 15th century by Henry, Lord Clifford of Skipton Castle, on the site of an earlier medieval hunting lodge, one of the 6 hunting lodges of the Forest of Barden. Lord Henry was known as the Shepherd Lord and was said to eschew Skipton as being too busy, on account of him being brought up by shepherds on the moors of Blencathra in Cumberland or the local dales, and being accustomed to the silence of the wilds. This possibly apocryphal story of his upbringing came about during the Wars of the Roses, in which his father played a major part, and where young Clifford would have made a handy hostage. And it was a very good idea to keep your children out of the way during a time when the lords of the land were hell-bent on wiping out their relatives. After Henry VII defeated Richard III in 1485, Henry, now 31, had his estates returned and turned his attention to building Bardon Tower, where he spent much of his life. Accounts survive from this time, from the payment of Halifax musicians to a clock mender and purchase of ale, prunes, licorice, dates and almonds, amongst everyday items of food and coal. He kept around 40 staff at Barden and was said to study astronomy on the roof of the tower with the monks of Bolton Priory. This is not to say he was an easygoing man. His possible pastoral upbringing did nothing to curb his falling out with the king, to whose cousin he was married, fighting with other local lords, his wives, including court cases for mutual adultery, and his son and heir. He had many mistresses and illegitimate children, whom he acknowledged and some cases got on with better than the legitimate ones. He attended every parliament from 1485, not something you would associate with a recluse, and perhaps indicating he'd just kept his head down. In 1513 he was still on the main stage and raised a company of local men to fight against the Scots at Flodden for Henry VIII. He died in 1523 and was buried at either Shap Abbey or Bolton Priory. After his death, Bardon Tower slipped into disuse and was restored by his descendant, Lady Anne Clifford, between 1658 and 9, before becoming redundant again and taking on a new life as a farmhouse. Its roof timbers and lead were removed in the late 1700s. Today you can see the remains of Henry Clifford's house, chapel and priest's house, squat tower with 2-storey domestic wing to the left, with banqueting hall, kitchen and bakehouse. It is also surrounded by the archaeological remains of medieval gardens and other associated ancillary structures. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of History on the Hoof and look forward to speaking to you again soon. If you've liked it, please subscribe.